Back on to wonderful articles. I didn't realize the Washington Post had a gaming section. They're called a launcher. And their Twitter bio is the most cringe thing I've ever seen. It's Nani kore? The Washington Post is covering gaming culture. That's super cringe, but it might be ironic. Wait, what the fuck? This seems like a fun article. The NASCAR driver who accelerated into the wall on the final corner to win, emulating a move from a GameCube game? Those things could have gone differently. Wait, what? Ross... Okay, his video game-like move could have been really stupid. At this past Sunday's NASCAR race at Virginia's Martinsville Speedway, driver Ross Chastain accelerated into the wall on the final corner, what he later called a video game move, to hurtle ahead of 5 other cars at the finish line, allowing him to just barely advance to this weekend's championship race. Miraculously, he sustained no major injuries and caused no crashes. Whoa. That's fucking sick and really dumb. Apparently, the article says I can't see exactly which game he pulled it from. But apparently there was some GameCube game. This dude's literally doing the Doom like wall running acceleration exploit, where you can just build up like super speed on like walls of a certain type with like a certain direction. He did that in a race? That's fucking crazy, and he won. Anyway, so they put out an article, and this one struck me, and it hit me in a good place. Joe Biden has been dominating a niche fighting game for years. So, you might hear that and have a couple questions if you are not into competitive Guilty Gear, specifically plus R. So, I have been aware of a player, he's a Guilty Gear player. I'm assuming it's he because they go by Joe Biden. And they are a chip player who has been fucking tearing it up for a while now, like at least a year. Probably longer, actually, now that I think about it. Tearing it up online. His name is Joe Biden, plays chip in every Guilty Gear game. No one knows who he is. He just goes by Joe Biden. Like, he has no Twitter handle. He has no online presence. He just shows up. He's called Joe Biden to, like, online tournaments. And then he wins and then leaves. And no one knows who he is. And he plays online. In fact, I have played him online. This is one of the cool things about Plus R. Because Plus R has a just giant community lobby that everyone just shuffles into and hangs out in and just challenges people. So you can just like go and challenge one of the best players in the world to a match and like get your ass kicked. You can just do that in Plus R. It's super cool. And Joe Biden is cracked at chip. He's so good. And I think the joke is that Chip is technically a president in Guilty Gear lore. He's a ninja president. It's very complicated. Let's read from the article. This one comes from Nathan Grayson. Every competitive scene has its boogeyman. A name that, when whispered, strikes fear into the hearts of rivals. In baseball, it's Shohei Ohtani, with his ability to both pitch and hit like he was born on the field. In boxing, it's Deontay Wilder, whose otherworldly punching power fells giants. In fighting game series Guilty Gear, it's Joe Biden. Since 2020, a player who goes by the in-game handle Joe Biden has operated at the highest levels of Guilty Gear, a fighting game series known for its flashy anime visuals and idiosyncratic characters. The game rewards, and once you hit an intermediate level, basically requires intense dedication, lending itself to a fan base that's tight-knit and passionate. Word travels fast among the series players, and in just a couple years, Joe Biden has become something of a legend. Joe Biden. Joe Biden. Wake up, super Joe Biden. Joe, quoting some tweets, Joe Biden, the Guilty Gear player, has done more to improve my life in the last year than Joe Biden, the president, has. While he doesn't always win, he's competed in 116 tournaments since 2020. And more often than not, he's placed in the top 10, sometimes the top 5. Most of these tournaments took place online, lending an air of mystery to this quietly devastating figure who almost certainly is not, but could be, the 46th president of the United States. When announcing the tournament results online, oh yeah, this is a great little detail. When announcing tournament results online, organizers have taken to tagging the official @POTUS Twitter account as a stand-in for the player named Biden, who lacks a public-facing online presence. So because he has no Twitter handle that people know of, and no affiliation or anything, he just shows up. He's just an enigma. When organizers put together like the graphic for the week, for like the week's tournament or whatever, they'll just have him as like Team USA, and then @POTUS, President of the United States. Awesome, hilarious. The Washington Post, this is a real line. This is a real line, and I'm so happy. The Washington Post reached out to the White House to ask if Joe Biden, the Guilty Gear player, and Joe Biden, the president, are one and the same. For some reason, the White House did not reply. Evidence in favor of the President Joseph Robinette, his name is Robinette? Biden Jr. spends his vanishingly few hours off playing a niche fighting game theory is scant but compelling. In Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R, an older series entry that became Biden's game of choice after developer Arc System Works upgraded its online play in 2020, Biden plays as Chip Zanoff, a former drug addict and mafioso who sets his sight on and achieves, in a manner of speaking, the presidency. So if you don't know, Chip's backstory, the ninja guy from Guilty Gear, his backstory is that he was a drug addict. He's in America. He's like a white guy from America, and he was a drug addict, and he was saved from the streets by a Japanese ninja master who taught him ninjutsu. Also he was a drug dealer, drug seller and drug dealer. He was saved from the streets by a Japanese master who taught him how to be a ninja. And then his master was killed. So Chip takes his ninja skills and he spends like 5 games looking for the people who killed his master. Cannot do it. Just cannot find them. And so he decides, in the face of just wasting all this fucking time, that in order to make real that revenge is not a fruitful path to make change in the world. The only way to make real change is to become the president. This is real. This is what happens. I'm not even exaggerating. So he finds a a region in like sub-Saharan Africa and just plants his little flag and says, "This is the Eastern Chip Kingdom." And he has like these advisors who are like, you can't be the president of a kingdom. You're the king of a kingdom. You're the president of like some other kind of nation, like a republic, for instance. And he goes, "I'm the president of the Eastern Chip Kingdom." And that's where he is. That's where he is now. In lore. Also, he is a huge weeaboo. So he literally idolizes Japan, and he will tell people that he's Japanese, despite the fact that people look at him and the other characters are like, "Dude, you're clearly a white guy." And he's like, sushi, which is also not a joke. There's a running joke where he only knows basic Japanese words like sushi and harakiri and like just pop culture references pretty much. He knows nothing about Japan or Japanese culture really. He just knows how to be a ninja, and he knows the words sushi and banzai. And he just yells random Japanese words during his attacks. Apparently, as of Strive, he has made some character development and actually learned some Japanese, but it's actually really, really amusing, because Chip, if you looked at his design and someone told you he was Asian, you'd be like, yeah, I could see that in like that kind of no defined or like nationality kind of anime sort of way. Like they have this thing in anime. This is why there'll just be Japanese characters who are like blonde and have blue eyes naturally. It doesn't make any sense, right? And that's because like they have this, because Japan is such like a homogenous culture that they there's this concept in like manga and like anime and other stuff that they do. It's like, well, I want to tell a story about Japanese people, but because I know about Japanese people and I'm comfortable setting my story in Japan with all Japanese people, but I don't want to like draw a bunch of people with the same kinds of features. So fuck it. Yeah, this blonde bitch, she's Japanese. Sailor Moon. So, so like, it's like an extra layer of humor that I don't think is intentional. That Chip, who just looks like he could be Asian, other characters look at him and they're like, "Dude, you're clearly not Asian. You're not even Wasian, dude. You're clearly a white guy." So I'm pretty sure the name Joe Biden is a joking reference to that. I'm assuming that this guy, that Joe Biden, the Guilty Gear player, probably went under some other name and then started going by Joe Biden after Biden got elected in 2020 as like a meme, and then he's just kept the name. Because they get to this later in the article. It is very likely that he also goes by the name Tom Nook, because he was apparently at a tournament, and I mean he is a fucking in Plus R. Let me just okay. You're like, how can you tell if you don't know what he looks like if he uses a different name? You can tell in Plus R, because once you get to a really, really high level with the character, even like an intermediate level, people will play their character, the same character. Two people of the same skill level can play a character totally differently. It's one of the coolest things about the game. It's so open because characters have so many different moves and ways that they can use those moves in different applications. It's one of the coolest things about Plus R. You can tell, you're like, he's doing a lot of the same shit, like crazy fucking mid-air fucking aerial alpha blade mid-air slash back to alter his momentum, just wild shit. And you're like, okay, this is most likely the same dude. And I have played Tom Nook online before. That's how I know I've played him. So because he went to Frosty Faustings and played under Tom Nook. So someone who knows him personally says his family and girlfriend were worried that he might stir up controversy if he competed in a major event under Joe Biden. So they asked him to change it. Ooh, neck crack again. So, wait, was this updated from the last time I read it? The saga resolved Friday when gaming outlet Kotaku spoke with player Joe Biden, who alas is not the president. So they actually got an interview with him. He says, I went through a lot of different gamer tags growing up. I ended up sticking to Joe Biden because it felt right to me, as Chip Zanoff and Joe Biden are both presidents, have white hair, and can get hurt easily. I didn't read that part. Dude, that's fucking hilarious. That's actually so funny. That's so fucking funny. Because if you also are not familiar with the Guilty Gear series, Chip is the most fragile character. So Chip's whole design is that he is the speedster of speedsters. He is the most ninja character of all. So he is what is sometimes called a pixie character, in that he's just fucking everywhere. And he's made of paper. He is the epitome of a glass cannon. His kit, his moveset, has literally every single kind of move that you could possibly ask for in a fighting game character. He has moves that like make him invulnerable and that cross up, that he can do at different angles, that he can use in the air. He has one of the best projectiles in the game with like fast shuriken. He has a fucking move that's a just giant projectile where he sends out a clone of himself that like freezes the opponent if it hits them and just gives you a free combo that can also OTG, so it can hit them when they're on the ground. He has he can teleport to different parts of the screen. He can go invisible. He has a command grab. He has an invincible reversal, which in plus R, he can spend 25 meter to FRC at the end and make it safe. He has, what else does he have? He has a Rekka series that lets him go low and high and mix up between them. Is there anything else that he has? I'm genuinely trying to remember. I'm more familiar with the plus R chip because he has other shit in Exert. They kind of switch his moveset around a little bit. I'm genuinely trying to remember if he has any other ridiculous special. Oh, he can cling to walls. He can wall jump and run off of walls. Yeah, teleports, invisibility, Rekka, shuriken. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What is he? What did they give him in Exert? I'm certain they changed around some of his stuff in Exert. Okay, Alpha Blade, Beta Blade, Gamma Blade, teleport, invisibility. Actually looks like pretty similar character. Although they actually gave him, interestingly enough, one of his moves from plus R as just like a thing that was a force break at plus R. Now he can just use it as, so he gets another thing. Shinkiro, just like a, I don't even know how to. It's just this weird upward kick. Oh right, they let him use moves. They gave him follow-ups to his wall cling, so he can cling to the wall. He can run up and down the wall, and then while he's clinging to the wall, he can hit an attack button, and he'll do like a Beta Blade slash jumping off of it. That's also, I think, makes him invulnerable. He can throw a shuriken, or sorry, a kunai. He gets like 2 different command grabs. It's fucking ridiculous. He does everything you would ever want a ninja character to do, and the trade-off for this is that he dies in 2 hits. Practically. Actually, the explanation... So people will usually just gloss over this and they'll just say, like, oh yeah, Chip has the lowest health in the game. That's not technically true. The real explanation is actually a lot funnier. So every character in Guilty Gear has the exact same health total. It's like 420, I think. It's around 420. Don't make the joke. I'm not going to make the joke. They have like 420 health, right? Everyone has the same health total. However, there are other hidden system mechanics that affect how much damage you take. So characters actually take different amounts of damage based on different things. So for instance, there is a thing called Guts, which you've probably at least heard of if you've played Guilty Gear, which is essentially the lower your health is, the less damage you take. So your character's like toughing it out. So there are different Guts ratings that characters get, that characters have. So, which basically define, like, the higher your Guts rating, the faster Guts scaling will kick in, and the more intense it'll get. So there is also defense modifier, which is just a flat modifier for how much damage, like base damage, you take off of an attack. So if an attack does 100 damage and you have a defense modifier of like 0.5, you're only taking 50 damage off of it. If it has, if you have a 0.8 modifier, you're only taking 80 damage off that 100 damage move. And the reason people are like, why do they have all these mechanics? And the reason for that is because it lets them fine-tune certain kinds of characters for maximum tension. So, for instance, Chip, right? I mentioned, like, he's made of paper, right? That's because his defense modifier in, like, every game is 1.3. He takes 130% damage from all sources. I believe before scaling. He is the highest damage modifier in the game. It's fucking, like, he is taking 130% damage off of everything. He also has, Guts rating of 4, the highest Guts rating in the game. So he is in, like, the highest tier of Guts ratings in the game. So the idea is that Chip fucking explodes when you touch him twice, but getting that last bit of health, like that last 10% of his health bar off, or last 5% especially, is fucking, like, he hangs in there. So that's supposed to create tension. He doesn't literally die in 2 hits in games outside of Strive. That's because Strive's damage scaling is fucking whack and, like, feels like it doesn't even exist. And Guts does not feel strong in Strive, but if you go look at, like, Exert and Plus R, scaling is way more intense. So you get, like, so you get some really interesting dynamics, I guess I would call it. Ooh, my tummy. I need to eat something. I'll do it later. So you get some actually interesting, trying to find, like, the list of different characters' defense modifiers and their Guts, because it's actually, it's neat. Damage combo? Yeah, here we go. So, like, a character like, let's see, the characters with, Potemkin's another good example. So Potemkin has a Guts rating of 3. Oh, 5. It goes up to 5 in Exit. I didn't realize that. He has a Guts rating of 3, which is, like, kind of in the middle. It's, like, decent scaling when he's on low health. But he takes the least damage. He has the lowest defense modifier. It's 0.93. He's taking 93% damage from everything. Compare that to a character like Raven, who takes 110% damage from everything because he got a defense modifier of 1.10, 1.10. But he is literally the only character with level 5 Guts. So he fucking hangs in there. So that's like the, I don't know, it's an interesting dynamic. Um, and it actually puts him on. So they actually have on the wiki on Dustloop, they have an effective health table for what is every character. If you actually just calculate, they have a little. They have a little formula for calculating. Essentially, yeah, everyone has 420 health, but how much health do they actually have with all these factors taken into account? Chip does have the lowest. And Raven has one of the highest. And Potemkin still has one of the highest because his defense modifier is so low. So, yeah, the comment about they both have white hair, are the president, and get hurt easily is fucking so great. Shouts out. Shout outs. There's some really fun quotes. I was happy to see a lot of names I recognized from the Guilty Gear community. They interviewed Patrick Miller, aka Pat the Flip. If you are interested in Guilty Gear, go look up Pat the Flip's channel. He has a lot of videos from specifically like Exerd. He's mainly an Exerd, and he plays a little bit of Plus R, but mainly an Exerd player. And he's also a Chip player, a Chip loyalist. And he has a lot of really interesting videos on like how to learn the game and learning fighting games in general, and a lot of really interesting like takes on how fighting games are designed. I actually really like his channel. He's great. And he hosts a weekly tournament called Rev Tuesdays for Rev 2. So they quoted him as saying, "I think he's the best Plus R Chip in North America, but there aren't many of us." Also, I didn't even realize this. He works on Project L. I didn't even realize Pat the Flip works on Project L. I didn't know about that. Probably should have known that. He goes, "Chip is one of the fastest and hardest to control characters in all of fighting games. I believe that. He does a lot of stuff you can only do if you've invested a lot of time practicing in the lab. Super flashy too, not just about optimal stuff." So like in Plus R, for instance, Chip actually has very few universal combos, like combos that actually work on every member of the cast. So when you see Chips tearing it up in Plus R, they've learned character-specific combos for like everyone. They've learned them for everyone because everyone's got, you know, different weight classes, different hurt boxes, and stuff like that. It's really impressive character. Let's see. There's another quote. Oh yeah, some other people they interviewed. They interviewed Mike Rowave. So like the name Mike and then last name Rowave, Microwave. I know Microwave. He's a Potemkin player. I think I've played him before. Again, really cool thing. Expressed discomfort at the idea that Guilty Gear. So basically, he Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R rarely gets much attention outside of spurious cheating scandals. They didn't even bring up the Jason Riot thing. And memes like the one surrounding Biden. Quote, "The truth is that Joe Biden is about as mysterious and interesting as any other player for a niche game like this. He just has a funny username. It's not like he talks in a Joe Biden impersonation all the time or something ridiculous." And then another person they interviewed said, "Plus R doesn't really get many opportunities to hit the mainstream fighting game community. I'm glad that Joe Biden is bringing some positive attention to the scene, even if the reason is a bit silly. And hey, this is my reminder, my weekly reminder to go play Plus R, best fighting game of all time."